In the heat of Miami, the Great Lake Racing Truck Series rolls into the postseason here as we get ready for the playoffs in Season 11. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Split Second Broadcasting's coverage here this evening as we get ready to begin the playoffs for 10 drivers. The regular season is in the rearview mirror. 8 difficult racetracks stand between them and the championship trophy as we gear up here tonight for the Miami Beach 180. 120 laps here this evening. The 10 playoff drivers will look to get this postseason started off on a high note as I'm Seth Cole alongside of Jack Mitchell. And Jack, daytime conditions here going to be a little less grip in the racetrack for these drivers to have to deal with, so tires will certainly seem to be a concern. How much pressure, if you're a playoff contender coming into this one, are you to pretty much set the tone for the remaining 7 playoff races?
I think there's definitely a lot of pressure, but at the same time, there's the knowledge that it's just the first race of the playoffs, so anything can happen in this first race. We're looking forward to a lot of long green flag runs as well. That was something we were talking about pre-race, so I'm looking forward to seeing how these playoff drivers make those decisions, and can they make the right ones?
Will be interesting to see how important track position will be here in this one, as a couple of playoff drivers going to start on the front row. Multi-time winner during the regular season, Matthew Weeks, going to be alongside of playoff driver Jared Darling.
In row number 2, it's going to be the 53 of Jared Duna and Hunter Manalunas in the 7 truck.
Christian Peterson, he is our regular season champion, comes in with 10 valuable bonus points as he'll share that third row alongside the 29 of Brett Malone.
It's the 10 truck of Hunter Brittle, and then the number 37 of Elliot Henderson taking up row number 4.
Top 10 going to be completed by a couple more playoff drivers. Jackson Sims been super consistent here down the second half of the regular season, and the guy that got it started off at Daytona on the right footing, Spencer Owens in the 23.
Next row, it's going to be Ashton Lawson in the 26 and Cy Jackson in the 85.
Nathan Jump's going to share the 7th row alongside of Nicholas Caressel, a couple of drivers that unfortunately did not advance into the playoffs this season.
Aiden DuPont in the 00, and the 63 of Eric Kepf will be in the next row.
Row 9 is going to find Josh Robin. We saw him start in the pole last week. Deep in the field here this week, Shane Neiswanger, one of our playoff contenders, going to start all the way back in 18th position.
In 19th, it'll be the 18 of Matthew Durr, and then Brent Kincott in the 5.
Row 11 is going to find Jeremy Pienta in the 42. That 14, Giant T, going to be Gavin Fitzgerald in 22nd. Robin
Durr in the 98. Starting in 23rd, and then William Barbagiolina in the 27 in 24th.
Rounding out the rest of the field, back in row 13, Nathan Nixon and Rod Fastno. James Shiflett going to complete the 27 drivers that will take the green flag in this one. William Barbagiolina going to have to serve a pass-through penalty at the beginning of this race, so we'll see him in the early stages make the dive to pit lane and be hoping for a yellow to be able to catch back up. Barbagiolina slated to roll off from the 24th position here, so won't be giving up too much track position in the early going. Going to be interesting to see what kind of a race we have out of the gate here, Jack, of whether these drivers are going to go aggressive and try and gain that track position in the early going, or do we maybe take a couple of laps, figure out what kind of footing, what kind of grip are we going to have for these Goodyears in the first couple of corners?
I feel like the latter is probably the option that I would go for if I were behind the wheel. I would probably try and see how the track responds in the early going and then react to that.
Each truck makes the left-hand turn to pit road. Here we go. The playoffs are ready to go green here at Homestead. It's going to be Matthew Weeks leading the rest of the playoff contenders into turn number 1. First of 8 tracks these drivers are going to have to deal with here for the remainder of the season, as we got some cars already, some trucks already sliding way up the racetrack there, way up out of the groove. One of them was the outside pole sitter, Jared Darling.
Kind of thing we see a lot at Homestead. These trucks like to fan out 3 wide, sometimes 4 wide. There's plenty of space to do that.
Elliot Henderson, black and green 37. He was trying to the outside of the bright orange number 10 of Hunter Brittle. Brittle going to clear for that spot as now he'll battle side by side with Ashton Lawson. That's for 6th position. Top 5 have got themselves singled out, at least for the moment. As soon as I say that, I believe that might have been Jared Duda that was trying a half groove higher than Matthew Weeks out of turn 2, trying to get that run on corner exit, get that straight line speed. He's got a teammate right there with him in the 71 of Christian Peterson. We saw those two work very well together back at Martinsville. That saw Jared Duda get his first and up to this point only win of the season.
Got a pass for the lead on the outside line too, and I think that's what I really enjoy about Homestead is the fact that it's a multi-groove racetrack. You can make a pass for the lead on the inside or the outside. It doesn't really matter where it happens. If you get the run, you can make it work anywhere.
See Matthew Weeks now drop from the lead back to 3rd. One would have to wonder if maybe not willing to force the issue out of the gate too early. We've talked about, seems like at the 1.5 miles, Matthew Weeks one of the best on the long run, one of the best of preserving his tires. So maybe feeling it's too soon to push. You got the pole position there. You got some pretty good track position. Now we just try and maintain, but do not use up that grip underneath you here in the early going. As look at this Hornet's nest back here. You got a number of playoff contenders in the middle of this. Elliott Henderson there. That's Josh Robin. High, wide, and handsome there through 1 and 2. You got that purple number 6 of Jackson Sims, another playoff driver. And just to the right of the screen there, you got the 23 of Spencer Owens and the defending champion of the series, Hunter Madalinas. This is all a blanket you could throw over 7th back to about 14th. I believe we had a truck up in the wall there. Could not make out exactly. That might have been the 42 of Jeremy Pienta, and that's one of the things here about Homestead as well. You talked about the multi-groove here, Jack, but you run up there on that cushion right against the outside wall, kind of like what Josh Robin is doing. If you overstep the cushion, that seafoam green safer barrier is going to be very welcoming to your truck and kind of suck you right in.
Yeah, you're gonna have a little bit of that seafoam green stripe on the side of your truck here, so gotta be as careful as you possibly can. If you can make it work, oh, I think there might have been a little bit of contact there between the 8 and the 10.
Very close. You can see Robin just getting that really good run off the corner, but the problem is he's trying to find some space to be able to use that momentum down the straightaway. Now he'll get to the outside of Brent Malone. Look at the difference in speed there. That's about 5 miles per hour difference down the back straightaway. The 8 was carrying. That was all the momentum he was building there up in that outside line. He just passed 3 trucks in the span of a straightaway.
And that's why we love the multi-groove racing. Again, you can make it work. You can gain a whole lot of position in a short amount of time.
Robin's now worked his way up to the 4th position, continuing to charge his way forward. There's Jared Darling, Ashton Lawson, couple of playoff drivers. They're side by side right now for 5th. Lawson and Darling have both been very consistent during the regular season. They've been 2 drivers that have had the same narrative, though, where they've just not been able to close out the deal at the 11th hour. They've been in the conversation, up in the top 5, race after race after race. Just circumstances late in the going don't seem to work out in their favor. What a time it would be for either one of these guys to get that first win of the season right here at the dawn of the playoffs.
Absolutely. No better time than right now, coming up clutch at the start of the playoffs, setting a tone.
Back here from Ashton Lawson, Jared Darling working him over. There's a step to the outside by Nicholas Caressel. Something we have to remember here too. There are 10 drivers that are fighting for the playoffs. There's another 17 drivers took the green flag here tonight that are looking to end out the season as best they can. Maybe find victory lane themselves. They don't have the pressure of the playoffs looming over them like the sword of Damocles. They don't really have to worry about being super conservative, preserving their positions to be able to get those maximum points towards the playoffs. They can go a little bit more aggressive than some of the playoff contenders as they attempt to maybe find victory lane here before the close of the season, or at least end out the season on as high a note as possible. You got to think for a number of those guys, they're looking at that 11th position in the standings, the highest position you can be in without being in the playoffs. That's probably got to be a goal for a number of guys.
I would think so. It's sort of that clash of mentality. Ooh. A bit of contact there, the 00 and the 6 getting close together, but that clash of mentality between the drivers that are not competing for a championship versus the ones that are.
Saw right there with that shot, the 00 of Aiden DuPont got really loose on the inside of Jackson Sims after the two had a little hip check going into turn one. And that's kind of the scenario right there, right? If you're Aiden DuPont, you can be aggressive. If you're Jackson Sims, got a big picture race here. How hard do I want to battle this 0-0? Because I got a lot more to lose than he does, but you see, he was able to bypass DuPont. Shane Nicewanger able to make his way by as well. Nicewanger's been able to move his way up to 15th place. Remember, we saw him start way out back. I believe he started the furthest back of the 10 playoff drivers. But right now, he's up here in the vicinity of Hunter Madalinas and Jackson Sims. So trying to make some forward progress, not only in the field, but also on the playoff grid. As coming into tonight, 9 drivers were tied at 1,000 points apiece, 10 points back from Christian Peterson, who had those 10 bonus points coming into tonight for winning the regular season championship. Right there, you can see the difference those 10 bonus points made. 11 points over Matthew Weeks, 13 back to Ashton Lawson. Could be important, could be something that we'll talk about here when we eventually get to the final races of the season. Like at Iowa or Texas, maybe adhere back to those 10 valuable bonus points in terms of what the gap might look like from first to second.
Every single point matters, and I'm sure Peterson is pretty happy right now, too, because in the position that he's in right now, he's chasing down the leader, Jared Duda, but at the same time, maybe he doesn't necessarily feel as much pressure to catch up to the leader, knowing that he's in such a good point spot, but you know, you're probably not thinking about the points when you're behind the wheel. You're probably just trying to push as hard as you can and try to fight for the race lead.
We jump back up here to the front. You notice the 53 has not been able to get away from the 71, and in turn, Matthew Weeks is keeping those two Manji Motorsports machines pretty honest as well, only about maybe 2.5, 3 truck lengths off of them. It's a bit of space back to Josh Robin, who now has seemed to stall out a little bit in that 4th position. We saw him ripping the top side there, but he's not been able to make up much ground on the top 3 as of yet, so may have used up all the good in those good years as he's trying to fight off a potential challenge from Ashton Lawson, who's only about 2 truck lengths behind him, bringing some company in the form of Jared Darling. Got to battle Nicholas Carresso, Elliot Henderson back there for the 7th position. Henderson trying to work his way further up inside of the top 10, a former winner this season back at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. So obviously very good 1.5-mile program for him as, yeah, Carresso up the racetrack there and into the outside wall. Doesn't look like any visible damage there on the 40. I mean, I don't think
for a decent chunk of that corner, but it looks like he's all right.
Yeah, it's a matter, I guess, of how much of an impact you make, right? If you just overstep that cushion, slide up into the wall, you probably wouldn't sustain as much damage as if you slide up from the inside line all the way to the outside wall and pancake that right side. The thing that it's going to do, though, is it's going to lose you some momentum for sure, and momentum can usually translate into positions.
And we talked about the multi-groove racing a few times and how you can gain a lot of positions if you're able to get the right run at the right time, no matter where you are in the track. But at the same time, you know, it's a double-edged sword, because if you scrub the wall like that, then you lose all that momentum and you have to gain all those positions again.
There's Hunter Madalinas in the 7, making his way now to the inside. Mentioned he's the former champion of the series back in season 10. Made his way into the playoffs. It was kind of a little bit nerve-wracking there as we got a little bit closer towards the home stretch of the season. He was down around 8th, 9th in the standings, but was able to build up enough of a cushion going into last week's regular season finale at Auto Club to mathematically be locked into the playoffs. But now it's lock-in time. Now there's not a whole lot of room for error, because you know that if you have a mistake, there's going to probably be that 1 or 2 drivers that aren't going to make a mistake here for these 8 races, and you're going to have to find yourself clawing to get back into the conversation. Hunter Brittle here with a good battle. A couple of orange trucks side by side as Brittle to the inside of Nicholas Carresso. This right now would be, for just outside of the top 10, the 13th position under contest. And it looks like the track's starting to rubber in a little bit here in those upper grooves as well. We saw maybe only 2 or 3 drivers that ventured up to that extreme outside lane in the first 5 to 10 laps. Now we're starting to see over a half dozen drivers going all the way up there. That bright yellow 11 of Nathan Jump, I've seen him up there a couple of times. I think he may have actually brushed the wall a few laps ago off of turn 2 as he's trying to draw a bead on Spencer Owens, trying to break his way into the top 10. he was one of about a half dozen drivers that mathematically could have pointed his way into the top 10 last week. Did not go his way, and he finds himself 18th in overall points. But regardless of the fact that he's not battling for a championship, certainly has proved to be a threat every week to take a checkered flag. And now with the pressure of the playoffs no longer a concern of his, might make him a little bit more dangerous. How about this? We've had ourselves a lead change.
We have Christian Peterson in the 71 truck going to go to the race lead.
Matthew Weeks going to follow right behind him into second. Former race leader Jared Duda will slide back to the third position, and feel like we're kind of reliving the early stages of this season where we saw Christian Peterson and Matthew Weeks duking it out for the points lead. Multiple weeks they would go in with just single digits over the other. We saw them find success with Victory Lane early on in the season as well. Didn't take long. It was races 2 and 3. Atlanta for Weeks, Richmond for Peterson for them to find Victory Lane. It wasn't until we got to around the second half of the season that Peterson was able to open up some distance between himself and Weeks, and then Henderson got into that regular season championship conversation as well. But Peterson was able to close out the deal, so rekindling that rivalry, if you will, from the first 4 or 5 races of the season are the 71 and the 56.
They're certainly off to a fantastic start in this race. The top 2 in the points, now the top 2 in the race. So that, I guess, tells you, it answers the question of what the playoff driver's mentality is going to be in this first race. They are going right after it, right out of the gate.
Now we've got, it looks like, 7 playoff drivers currently occupying positions inside of the top 10. Josh Robin starting to fall back there. You saw him on that top side again. He's faded outside of the top 10, but Brett Malone has worked his way up into the top 10 along with Nathan Jump. Now 8th and 9th position for those 2 drivers. Like they're kind of almost like the train, and they're letting Hunter Madalinas be the engine. He's been carving the path for them, and they've been more than willing to follow him through.
Saw a bit of smoke come up on the racetrack. Somebody might have brushed the wall there on the front stretch.
I believe that was the 8 of Josh Robin. See him still right up there against the wall, determined to make that high line work. The run he gets there on the back bumper of Jackson Sims is going to be able to stall out that momentum. I almost kind of wonder, I don't know exactly what the fuel window is for these drivers, but we're obviously seeing on fresh tires that outside line can work. You can see the back end of the truck wanting to come around there off of turn 4, definitely fighting the rear grip on corner exit as these tires continue to wear down. That says to me, if we see around the green flag pit stops, if I'm the 8 of Josh Robin, I'm taking advantage of that top line again on fresh tires. I'm going to maybe be one of those first ones onto pit road, take advantage on the outlaps. Matthew Weeks continuing to try to run down Christian Peterson. Ooh, wow, you could really see Peterson. That car got light on him through the center of 3 and 4. Matthew Weeks trying to draw a bead on him, and Weeks has kind of been experimenting, it seems. He goes about a half groove to a full groove lower over in 3 and 4, then jumps up here to the top side by about a full groove through 1 and 2. So he's searching around, trying to find a weak point here that he can capitalize on Peterson. Look at the run he's going to have down here into turn 3. Problem is, not able to get the power down, plus Peterson crosses his nose, puts that dirty air on the front of the 56 to try and get him tight off the corner.
That's the advantage you have when you're the race leader. You get to dictate what part of the racetrack you want to run in, and you can shove some dirty air in the runner-up's face right there. So good racing so far by Peterson, but Weeks is going to try and challenge for it again on the inside. We'll see if he has enough momentum side by side going down the backstretch.
Right now should have the advantage into 3. How deep will he drive? It's going to be the question. Looks to clear up on the 71. Peterson drives it back to the right rear. Can he keep the momentum or will he slide? Oh, you saw the little wiggle, and that's all Matthew Weeks needed. And that just shows the patience of Matthew Weeks. We saw him in the early going start from the pole. He faded back to 3rd, didn't panic, ran his own pace, and now finds himself about 20 laps later back up to P1.
We'll see what Peterson's mentality is, too. Is he going to be a little bit more patient now, waiting to pick his moment for trying to fight for the race lead again, or is he going to try and fight his way back in front as quickly as he can?
Keep an eye on some lap times here, and Ashton Lawson, that last time by, ran almost the identical same lap time as new race leader Matthew Weeks, so he is on the move as well and putting together some really good lap times here on the latter half of this run. You see him closing up on the 53 of Jared Duda, gonna try and get to his left rear and pass for the third spot going here into turn 3. You could see with that onboard there too, the 53 getting loose there through the center of the corner. I think that as the fuel has evaporated in the tanks and the weight in the rear end of these cars has gotten lighter, the grip going away on these rear tires, these drivers, they are slipping and sliding out there, which was one of the aspects of this Homestead race that we were kind of really looking forward to, because a lot of times we'll see the Homestead-Miami races run under the nighttime conditions where grip is at an optimal. Not here with the sun beating down on this Florida racetrack. You are slipping and sliding around, and it only gets worse the longer the run goes.
Just another battle, I guess, if you will, that these truck drivers have to deal with as this race goes along. But I think they can really show you the skillfulness of the ones too, of these drivers too. The ones that can maneuver around that the best are the ones that are probably going to have the most success in this race.
About to complete 30 laps under the green flag, which is a lot of fun for the spectators to be able to watch this incredible side-by-side multi-groove battling all the way through the field. The one driver that's hating it is William Barbagelata, because we saw him have to make that pass-through penalty stop and go there at the beginning of the race. He's out there still on the lead lap, but all of 25 seconds behind the race leader. He is clamoring for a yellow flag to be able to catch back up here. As, oh, hold on! Oh, William with his hands full there, all by his lonesome off of turn 2, nearly looped it around there in the back straightaway. So even when you don't have another truck disturbing the air, these drivers are still out there clamoring for grip.
He was hoping for a caution, and he nearly was the caution.
Yeah! We've also had an unscheduled pit stop by Nathan Nixon about 10 laps ago. Looks like he may be done for the day. Currently scored in the 27th position. We'll keep you updated if he does return to the racetrack, but right now, looks like he may have his evening already complete, as here we go. How about this? Christian Peterson from second place gonna throw down the gauntlet to begin the cycle of green flag pit stops.
Now we'll see how the other drivers end up responding to that. So 32 laps is about where we had our first window.
We'll see just how much further some other drivers are going to elect to go, as this is the battle for second. Lawson still hounding the 53 of Jared Duda. Looks like more drivers have hit pit lane. Brett Malone, Nathan Jump, Jared Darling. Oh, trouble for the 29 of Brett Malone, and the caution's going to come out for that.
Like he might have had difficulty going on the pit road with that transition. Yeah. I don't want to speak before I see the replay, though, but that's what it seems like was the case.
He's going to bring out the yellow. Looks like he may have gotten lucky and spun to the right side of those yellow barrels just at the start of that attenuator wall. But he was up inside of the top 10 just before making the dive to pit lane, and got to wonder about some of those others that were on pit lane there. I believe that Nathan Jump was on pit road. I think he made it on pit road before the caution came out, so he should be able to take service without having to drop to the rear of the field. But take a look and see our first caution of the evening taking place here right in the middle of green flag pit stops as... Oh, wow! Boy. That was Jared Darling in the 1. It almost looked like both of them were in danger, maybe missing pit road. They're both coming in hot, but obviously the 29 coming in a lot hotter.
Yeah, it didn't look for a second like they were fully certain whether or not they actually wanted to make the dive on the pit road, and by the time they both made the decision, it was a little bit too late. Or from that angle, it makes me think the 29 was committed, but the 1 wasn't fully committed.
Either that or he thought he was going to overshoot. Talk about Jared Darling, got on the brakes a little bit more to make sure he made the commitment line, and 29 of Malone was fully committed there. Oh, I'm
Oh
almost
boy.
wondering right there, that transition on the apron, you see him getting loose. I wonder if he was in the process of gathering that truck up, thinking it was going to go around. That might have been what stalled out that momentum and brought the 29 to him as quickly as he did.
I'm almost wondering if he even intended to go on the pit road in the first place. He probably did.
A couple of fortunate things there. One for Jared Darling was it at least directed him back towards the racetrack rather than sending him potentially into that inside pit wall. Brett Malone, same deal for him, though I would be a bit concerned with him taking quite a bit of impact to the front end of that truck where the radiator is housed. Obviously, Homestead, a very aerodynamic track. That's some pretty good damage he's going to have around the grill area of his number 29 Chevrolet. And it also looked like to me as well that Nathan Jump, yeah, this is what I was wondering about. It looks like that he did not get to that pit road commitment line before the incident between the 1 and the 29 occurred, which says to me pit road was closed before he hit the line.
And of course, we know that will lead to a penalty, so he'll have to end up at the back of the field, I believe.
Tough break there for Nathan Jump. Though he is up here at the front, so we're being told there might not have actually been a penalty for the 11 of Nathan Jump, so he may have actually just timed it perfectly.
Maybe he had the wheels across the line literally moments before the caution came out, so fortunate timing there for Nathan Jump.
It's going to put him outside of the front row here for this upcoming restart. Christian Peterson, who we saw come to pit road just prior to that caution, stays out, so he'll inherit the race lead. Everybody else came to pit lane, so Matthew Weeks will line up in third with Ashton Lawson fourth, Jared Duda in fifth, and Madalinas, Henderson, Brittle, Sims, and Owens are going to be the top 10. 8 of our playoff drivers going to restart inside of the top 10 here. Shane Neiswanger just outside the top 10 will restart in 11th. And it looks like Brett Malone's going to be one lap down here for this restart. Matthew Durr going to restart in 13th place. So that's where all of our 10 playoff drivers going to restart this race. Green flag back in the air. Our first restart here on lap 36.
One driver that I'll be keeping in my eye on is the 27 of Will Barber-Joletta. He was able to maintain his position on the lead lap even though he took that pass-through penalty at the start of the race. Now he's back in the thick of it with that caution, so I'm curious to see how he works his way through the field.
Up here, Hunter Madalinas, he was trying to make a move on Nathan Jump. Jump going to go all the way to the outside line. Madalinas in the middle, Ashton Lawson on the bottom. Look at the run that 11's able to get there off of 4 down the front straightaway as he'll draw up to alongside of Matthew Weeks for second. Now Weeks drives it in deep. He'll go for the spot on Christian Peterson. It's kind of like a conveyor belt of momentum for the inside and the outside line depending on where we are in the corner.
It really is. I mean, multi-groove racing, I'll keep on talking about it, but that's what makes this track so fun to watch.
Now all of a sudden everybody goes to the bottom except for Nathan Jump. Peterson trying to control both lanes, moves to the bottom through the corner, up to the top on the straightaway. Nathan Jump says, nuh-uh, he's going to cross him over, and he'll try to go into the inside here through 1 and 2. Way up to the top side there is Ashton Lawson, as he'll get alongside of Matthew Weeks for third place.
Lawson, I thought for a brief moment from that camera angle, maybe he was going to try to stick his nose in there and try to take it 3 wide. He might try to do that here.
Jump moves up to block the run of Christian Peterson. Has now jumped to the point in that bright yellow number 11 Chevrolet Silverado. It's like Lawson might be able to clear for second. Indeed, he does as they're fanning out further back there. Eric Kempf trying to make a move. I believe that was Aiden DuPont. He was trying to get around there. That's going on outside of the top 15. So all the way through the field, we've got these drivers racing it out, realizing that we ended up having that long green flag run there. We were in the neighborhood of full field cycle green flag pit stops. Now these drivers realizing what they've got, that outer groove has been rubbered in, a lot more options for them here on this reset than there was on the initial start of this race.
Got a bit of 3 wide action here near the back of the field.
Jeremy Pienta in the 42 up there on the top. Aiden DuPont in the middle. Ooh, he was all sorts of sideways there with Brent Kincott to his inside. And Eric Kempf in that white and pink number 63. Now going to maybe look to go 3 wide again as they're going to close in on the 40 of Nicholas Caressel. Gavin Fitzgerald there in the 14. And there's William Barbagelata. You talked about it. The caution saved him. He's now trying to work his way forward. Currently, this is a 3 wide battle for 15th place.
Been watching his name slowly climb up the ticker here on my timing tower, and now involved in this 3 wide battle. This is, it's I think a little bit of a sense of urgency too, if you're that truck, because you realize now you've started the race at such a disadvantage. Now you have been saved by this yellow flag. Now you realize you have an opportunity to really quickly try and work your way up to the front of the field, but you can't be too reckless with it.
Ashton Lawson will move his way to the race lead for the first time here tonight. Christian Peterson trying to follow him through as he and Nathan Jump nearly making some contact off of turn 4 in a tussle for second place. Ashton Lawson, we've talked about it. He's had multiple finishes up inside of the top 5, multiple finishes inside of the podium. Best finish of second, that was back at Pocono. Just was not able to quite reel in Daniel Nanny to pick up his first win on the season. Now trying to get the playoffs started out on a high note here as he's got the clean air to the nose and he's got him stacked up for second place in his rearview mirror. Peterson was able to get to the right rear of Ashton Lawson there. Looked like Lawson was going to maybe throw the block, thought better of it, left the lane open for Peterson to try and get alongside of him off of turn 2. And now watch the momentum, watch the surge there with that run off the corner for the 71 as he'll nose ahead into 3. Can he keep that momentum going up here from 3 into 4 and take the race lead back?
I thought Lawson was maybe going to try to run him up the racetrack a little bit, but instead he ended up just trying to hold his line, and the 71 and Peterson got a much better run off the corner. Going to need another good run here off of this corner. He hasn't lost Lawson just yet.
An eye a little bit further back in the field. Jared Darling, we saw him start this race from the outside of the front row. He has faded all the way back to 19th place. There you see him just in front of Brent Kincott, just behind Cy Jackson. Not sure exactly what's going on with that machine, but right now scoring has him as the lowest running of the playoff drivers. So whatever he was able to find in the early going of this race appears to not be working out for him here as we draw close to halfway.
Well, he also was involved in that first caution, so that might have played a factor in that.
That's a good point. I was almost wondering, though, with the damage more to the back end of the race car, if maybe it wouldn't have affected him nearly as much as it would the front end impact, the aerodynamic impact, if you will, with Brent Malone. Christian Lawson dropping a position there to Matthew Weeks, and now Christian Peterson looks in his rearview mirror and says, "Oh, not this guy again." We saw those two duking it out there in the early stages, that first run, with Weeks eventually able to get around Peterson. Now it's take 2, if you will.
Yeah, Weeks was able to fight his way around Lawson and now chasing down Peterson for the race lead.
Take a look who's currently in that 5th position, now trying to take 4th. Hunter Madalinas coming into this race. 3 drivers in the field have gone to victory lane here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Matthew Weeks is one of those drivers. He's been to victory lane here twice. The other 2 drivers, Matthew Durr, who we saw pull those late season dramatics to make his way into the playoffs last week at Auto Club, and couple of trucks behind this battle, that 37 of Elliott Henderson. He's been to victory lane here 3 times. So keep an eye on the 7 and the 37 as they right now find themselves inside of the top 10. Madalenas looking to advance further in the top 5.
Just gained a position too, right as he finished that sentence, all the way up to 4th now. Still battling with Nathan Jump, sorry.
They're one able to gain an advantage right now. Now edging out ahead is Nathan Jump. Can he get that run off of 4? Boy, I don't know if the drivers themselves feel as in control. Whoa, little contact right there, but every time I see a little wiggle out of these trucks, I get nervous, expecting the thing to snap around. I don't know if they're just used to the sensation and it's not causing them to panic. I'm not even behind the wheel, and I'm panicking for them.
Yeah, I mean, when you're outside of the truck, you definitely, from the perspective that we're seeing here, it definitely can feel like the truck is about to whip around in the wrong direction, but I think when you're behind the wheel, it's definitely, you're more used to how things are going to go. You've had all this time to practice too before the race, so you kind of get used to the feeling of what the truck does, how it responds to certain moves in these corners.
Well, when you're a playoff driver, you have to be of the mentality that all your competitors are going to be in the same vicinity as you every week, every race. Take a look at our top 4. Playoff driver, playoff driver, playoff driver, and playoff driver. With Peterson, Weeks, Lawson, and Madalenas less than a second separating those top 4. Battle here for 5th is between the highest running of the non-playoff drivers, Jared Duda and Nathan Jump, as Elliot Henderson looks ahead and trying to figure out where do I go. I'll take him 3 wide as we'll go for the 5th position.
Not totally certain he was able to make it work, though. No, he's going to have to fall behind these 2 trucks that he was battling with in that 3-wide fight for that position.
Caution! Yellow flag out. We got trouble on the back straightaway. That's Brent Malone and Jeremy Pienta. Second caution of the night. Just a little ways from halfway. Second caution the 29 of Malone has been involved in. Pienta in the 42 able to drive away from the incident. Brent Malone was a lap down, would have been in line for the lucky dog should he not have been involved in this caution, and it looks like 42 just traveled down the racetrack there off of turn 2. More than likely back end coming around on him, and unfortunately for Brent Malone, he was right there in the path. He's on board with the 29, all of a sudden, what do you do in that situation? There's nowhere to go. Oh, that's a hard hit.
It's just an unfortunate break, I think, for both drivers. I mean, like you said, what are you going to do when you see a truck immediately appear in front of you just like that?
It's a massive impact driver's side for Pienta into that inside safer barrier. Fortunately, there are safer barriers on the inside of the back straightaway. As pit road open, everybody's going to come down here. It's feeding time at the zoo. See who's going to win the battle off of pit road here. Peterson was the race leader. Can he be leaving pit road? Looks like the answer will be yes, but it'll be a new second place driver that'll be leaving with him as Lawson is able to leapfrog Matthew Weeks. Or is he? I guess maybe the commitment line was a little bit further back there. Looks like Weeks is actually going to take second. And then it'll be Lawson, Madalenas, and Nathan Jump.
It was a really close fight off of pit road. The drivers that you're going to see restart around second, third, fourth, they were really, really close together fighting for those positions off of pit road.
So interesting the timing of this caution too, because we don't know the full extent of how far these drivers can go, but we started seeing pit stops between laps 30 to 35. So if we kind of give the benefit of the doubt that 35 is the max they could go on what they've got in the tank, that would put the final pit stop somewhere around lap 90. So we should be one stop to the finish from this point on.
I think so. If memory serves me correctly, we saw the first driver come to pit road on lap 32, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee 32 laps because obviously, like you said, these drivers probably could have pushed it until about lap 35, but then the yellow flag came out and kind of interrupted those plans. So we very well could be one stop to the finish. That'll make things very interesting to watch.
So Christian Peterson, who is looking for his 4th win on the season. He ended off the regular season with a checkered flag at Auto Club, looks to kick off the playoffs here tonight at Homestead with another victory and continue to build his already somewhat sizable points lead with the benefit of those 10 regular season championship points coming into tonight. These drivers gearing up to finish this one out, and then they got a little off week here with Labor Day weekend coming up next weekend. Give them a little bit of time to prepare for a track they might need a little bit of vacation time for. The track too tough to tame, the Lady in Black Darlington Raceway looms on the horizon as the second race of the playoffs as we get ready to go back green, just 4 laps shy from halfway here tonight at Homestead.
Part of me wonders if that could be in the back of some of these playoff drivers' minds, too. You've got Darlington as the next race, a very, very tricky track. I mean, they call it the track too tough to tame for a good reason. You have to be really well-versed in the strategy there to be able to maintain a solid finish. So I have to feel like maybe some of these drivers think that they would like that extra cushion going into Darlington before we get there by winning here tonight at Homestead.
Unpredictable track. We've seen a couple of drivers go up and, as you said, get that seafoam green stripe. I think there's going to be a lot of Darlington stripe souvenirs handed out in 2 weeks' time as Christian Peterson gets away. Battle is on for second. Matthew Weeks trying to stay in touch with Ashton Lawson. Not going to be able to do it. Lawson gets the runoff of 2, will clear for that second spot. And Hunter Madalinas, I don't know if he got loose or if he made a little contact with the back bumper of Matthew Weeks. They're off of 2, but he got a little squirrely as he drew very close to the back bumper of the 56. That's the battle for third. One driver that has, in a sense, been the example of patience here tonight, it's got to be Shane Neiswanger. We saw him start this race from outside of the top 15, and he has now broken his way up into the top 10, battling for that 10th position with Spencer Owens. But he's kept the truck clean, he's kept it out of trouble, and he's been really good on the long run. The patience exemplified here as he's now trying to work his way even further up inside of the top 10. Almost makes me think that with what we're seeing right now, this could be a driver we could see up in the top 5 in the closing stages of this race.
Hey, consistency is everything. The way he's been running right now, it wouldn't surprise me if he was able to slowly creep his way closer and closer to that top 5. This could be a lead change right here.
Weeks was able to get back around Ashton Lawson and now puts the pressure on Christian Peterson for the top spots. Seen a number of lead changes here tonight, but it's really been amongst 5 drivers. Peterson and Weeks have both spent time out in front here, and Hunter Madalinas now going up to that outside line, looking to get around Ashton Lawson for third, highest that the 7 has run so far here tonight. 7th place, side by side, Jackson Sims, Elliott Henderson, couple of the playoff drivers. Of course, easy to tell the playoff drivers from the non-playoff drivers as they've got those blue spoilers as well as the blue driver name banners there above the windshields. 3 wide behind them. That was Jared Darling that went up there to the top side. So whatever damage he got from that, whatever damage he got from that pit road incident, this caution may be giving him enough time to be able to get some repairs done, and he's making forward progress once again, about to try and break his way up here, maybe into the top 10. Right now in the top 15, last time by scored in, actually no, he is inside the top 10. He's in the 8th position right now.
Looks like he's finding a lot of success on that top line too. Almost hit the wall there, but managed to keep it going. And You saw Elliott Henderson. He was almost going to get up in front and try to block that one truck, but instead he had to wiggle a little bit because Darling was getting such a run. He had no choice but to let him go.
We started in pure sunlight in the late afternoon. We're starting to head into twilight. I don't think that we're necessarily going to be completely covered in darkness when this race concludes, but as this race goes on and the daytime hours start to dwindle away, we might start to see a change in the racetrack in terms of temperature and in terms of grip. So we may see more and more drivers venture up there to that outside line the later this race goes on, as Jared Darling gets right on that left rear quarter panel of Nathan Jump, tried to get him a little loose off of turn 4, putting the pressure on him now for 6th place.
That one truck is moving again, involved in that first caution, and ever since then he's been fighting his way up here to the front of the field, and he could be the first truck to realistically challenge these, I'd say, top 5 that have been dominating this race so far.
Way that getting involved in a wreck makes your truck better, is there? Because I'm almost wondering if that's the case there for Jared Darling. We do have a couple of more drivers look like they are out of the race. We documented Nathan Nixon earlier on. Jeremy Pienta, who was involved in a most recent caution, saw the heavy impact he took to the inside wall in the back straightaway. He is retired for the day, and Aiden DuPont appears to also be out of the race. DuPont will get credit for 25th. Pienta will be credited for 26th. Nathan Nixon, the other driver, out of the race in 27th. We've got 24 drivers still running, 23 of them currently on the lead lap, as this battle here just outside of the top 10 continues on. Josh Robin, Shane Nicewanger, Hunter Brittle, and I believe Spencer Owens may have gotten the wall there off of 4.
Off of 4 and onto the front straightaway.
Owens looking for a little bit of Florida magic. The last time we were here in this state, he went to Victory Lane, the season opener at Daytona. Down the course of this regular season, I've called him sneaky consistent. It seems like every week we see him consistently inside of the top 10, and then he'll sneak up into the top 5 in the closing stages when you least expect it. Right now, struggling a bit with the handling of that truck as he's back in the 13th position. As now Hunter Madalinas has worked his way up into 3rd place. Currently trying to run down the top 2. Jared Duda has worked his way up into 4th. So Ashton Lawson, who we saw in the early going of this restart, was going for the race lead. He has now drifted back to the 5th spot.
The jump has kind of fallen back a little bit too. I feel like he was also consistently battling inside this top 5, 6 for the race lead, but now he's sort of started to drift back a little bit ever since Darling was able to work his way around him.
Josh Robin back up to that top side. We saw him working that high groove in the early going of this race. It worked out for a time, but then he started giving the positions back that he lost, or that he gained, I should say. Little slide job there from bottom to top on Jackson Sims. Ooh, that might have scrubbed off a little more speed than he wanted. He's actually going to lose that spot back to the 6.
Look at how close they get to the wall. It's crazy how most of them have been able to make it work so far.
To have nerves of steel for sure, and you have to have, I would think as well, a keen sense of vision of being able to know just how far up to the wall you can go and not overstep to get into the outside wall. I've seen a number of drivers ripping the top there, almost a Larson line here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, and just up ahead of him, a couple more drivers going up there. I believe one of those might have been Hunter Madalinas. No, it was Jared Darling. There was another car in front of him, Ashton Lawson. I don't think we've seen Lawson go all the way up to the top yet in this race, but that time through 1 and 2, he actually went right up to the outside wall. I don't know if that was a defensive maneuver against Jared Darling or if maybe the 26 is starting to search a little bit.
Maybe he could be taking some inspiration from Darling so far, because Darling has been running the quote-unquote Larson line. You see him there doing it again, and he's been making it work so far. It's basically that line up so close to the wall is what's been able to get him up here into this conversation for the lead pack, but you see Nathan Jump gets in front of him.
I think Jared might have been in the wall that time through 1 and 2. Saw some sparks coming off of that right rear quarter panel, as now Elliot Henderson going to complete the pass around Jared Darling. So Darling, who was up there in 5th, now, actually correction, in 6th, has now drifted back to the 8th position. And this is kind of the give and take, I guess, in terms of abusing the Goodyear tires. Get that track position, hope you can maintain, because you're probably not going to have quite as much grip as the other drivers that are saving on the beginning portion of the run once we start approaching the second half and start thinking about potential green flag pit stops, which I don't want to put the commentator curse on, but if you're looking for a target lap of maybe seeing a majority of drivers make that final pit stop of the evening, about 16 laps away, lap 90, probably where we're going to end up seeing a number of drivers make that duck onto pit road, and we've already seen here tonight, Jack, at pit road entry, it's not all that easy.
No, it is not. We've seen that's how we had our first caution here. Cars just having a little bit of a miscommunication making their way on the pit road. That transition in certain parts of the racetrack, it may not seem like it, but the transition between the banking and the flat apron leading on the pit road, it can be a bit of a treacherous one sometimes. Especially at a track like Homestead, where it can be really easy to get loose.
I have to wonder, you go back to that incident we had at pit road entry, we saw a couple of trucks come to pit road just before and just around the time that caution came out. The time the yellow waved, everybody came down pit road. Those two drivers got to stay out and were the front row. So, do you think there's going to be an emphasis, specifically if you're a playoff driver, of being maybe one of those first ones onto pit road when the window opens, just in case we have another incident with drivers coming to pit lane entry?
I think so. You know, I think when you're in the playoffs, there might with it being the first race and all, maybe the sense of urgency, I feel like it is probably there, actually. I was going to ask maybe the hypothetical question, but you see that basically the top 5 right now are playoff drivers almost. So I would think that the sense of urgency on pit road would be just as high as it is on the racetrack right now.
Christian Peterson continues to show the way, and he's been a bit of a lap-leading machine here this season, specifically on speedways. He has led 271 laps coming into tonight. That is 38% of the laps turned, laps completed at the speedway tracks here this season. And right now, doing a good job of maintaining a gap there between himself and Matthew Weeks of about half a second, as this battle for the 3rd position getting a little spicy. You saw a big slide there off of turn 2. That truck on the inside line of Ashton Lawson trying to get by Jared Duda and put 3 playoff drivers up into the top 3. Or playoff drivers side by side back here as Jared Darling continues to try and rip the top. Jackson Sims trying to pull the slide job on him. Whoa! That's a slide job and a half. They were both sliding. Jackson's actually around. Caution is out.
We didn't quite see it on camera, but I think when the 6 went up to block the 1 car, obviously it was not successful for really either driver, and it looks like the 6 was not able to hold on to it and might have had some more innocent bystanders get caught up in that mess.
Caution waves, and this caution is very interesting in the timing, because this might put us just outside the window still of being able to make it on fuel. We saw the battle at the time. I believe it was somewhere just inside of the top 10, around the 9th position if I'm not mistaken. And we saw the slide job from Jackson Sims. It appeared to work. I don't know if he was exactly clear or not, but he and Jared Darling were definitely slideways coming off the corner, and we'll see how the 6 eventually ends up going around, but battling up there inside of the top 10, a couple of playoff drivers, certainly not what they needed. Oh,
yeah,
gets the bump. Block. Yep. Oh, and then a little contact there as well for another playoff driver, the 23 of Spencer Owens.
Oh, almost more contact there.
Couldn't tell exactly who that was. There was maybe the 27 of Barbagelata, maybe the 4 of Fastnail. I couldn't tell exactly who. This is Josh Robin. Maybe this was the car that narrowly avoided. Yep. Wow, look at that.
Oh my.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
The reaction time gets a little bit loose going
Man.
into that turn there, but was able to hold on to the truck. I mean, the reaction time you have to avoid that kind of incident is insane.
This is Spencer Owens that we're on board with here, and yeah,
Little bump.
From the onboard there, it doesn't look too bad. It looked a lot worse from the far out camera. It is impact with the front end of the truck, however, which is the concerning part, because certainly you want that front end to be as pristine as possible to have that great straight line speed. Here's another look at it here. Nice save there by Jared Darling, but then
Yeah.
some pretty good contact with the right front of the outside wall as well for Jackson Sims.
And I mean, Sims realistically too was able to hold on to it. I mean, obviously there's going to be a bit of a detriment because he was the one that initiated that contact with that late block. But at the same time, I think that his truck is still mostly clean.
Little precursor maybe, because I have a feeling that's not the last slide job we're gonna see here tonight.
Especially if these two trucks up front are battling as hard as they have been for the race lead. I mean, I say that even though Peterson has been pretty dominant in this race, but every, I guess, closest thing that we possibly can have to the battle for the lead has been really tight. So I almost wonder if this sense of desperation will go up as we get closer and closer to the checkered flag.
Well, as I said, I don't think this caution gets us home to the checkered flag. I'm being told that there is max fuel saving that is going on right now to try and get to the conclusion. And I think the 98 of Robin Durr is of the thought process that nobody's going to be able to make it. So roll the dice here, restart as the leader, and try and see if you can maybe get yourself some track position off a green flag pit stop cycle. May see him come to pit road here somewhere in the next 10 laps or so to be able to make it the rest of the way. He's got 26 lap old tires on his Ford F-Series as opposed to the drivers around him, so he's obviously going to get eaten up, but we'll see how much track position he can maintain.
I mean, that was a heck of a restart, though.
Can't hold the bottom, though.
Nope,
up the track.
Can't.
It's going to open up the door for everybody to get to his inside. We're going to be almost 4 wide there off of turn 2.
He went way up the racetrack trying to get out of the way. Once the faster trucks got up to speed, he had no chance, and now drivers are going to have to go 4 wide trying to work their way around him.
Wrestle brittle. Whoa, Spencer
Ooh.
Owens all sorts of loose there as he'll fall back to another 3 wide formation now with Nice Wonger and Darling. That's going to wad this group up even more.
It's one of those little wiggles that we've talked about earlier about how when a car has that little moment, you think, oh, they might be going around here.
It's just outside of the top 10 right there. Barbagelata and Darling. Spencer Owens, who had that wiggle, gathered it back up, trying to fight his way back into the top 10. Ooh, wiggle underneath him of Gavin Fitzgerald.
Boy.
He's going to save it, but he nearly got contact from behind. I believe that was Brent Kincott in the 5. Good save there by Fitzgerald. Good job by the drivers behind him, giving him the opportunity to gather that thing back up.
Yeah, that was almost disaster. If he's not able to gather that thing up in the middle of traffic, we've got complete chaos on the front stretch. There was, I think, a little bit more contact there on the back.
New colors there for Brent Kincott and that number 5 Toyota. We saw the heartbreak for him last week after a solid regular season. Came to a close trouble. William Barbagelata around right in front of a couple of playoff drivers and Spencer Owens and Jackson Sims. Going to be our 4th caution of the evening as pretty heavy contact there on the left front of the Bud Light Chevrolet.
Not too sure how many other trucks were involved. We're going to see on the replay here exactly what went down.
This is probably the caution just about everybody wanted to see, because this will mean more pacing laps to be able to save fuel. Oh,
Oh,
wow. Spencer Owens back to the throttle. Truck never turned and straight up into the left rear quarter panel of Barbagelata. I wondered if there might have been some contact from behind, but no, it just looks like the 23 of Owens loses the nose. And unfortunately for Barbagelata, he was in the path. Gets spun around. Fortunately, we didn't have anybody else involved. This is on board with the 23. Watch right there.
stalled out a little bit. I don't think that. I think there might have just been maybe some kind of a steering problem with that truck. Not 100% sure because I can't see the wheel, but
Saw him have that
unfortunate
wiggle
timing.
earlier.
Yeah, we did.
He definitely was having a handling issue there. And this is going to put
Probably what it was
Spencer
then.
Owens probably pretty deep in the field here as well. Unfortunately, one of our playoff drivers.
At this point, if you're in the playoff conversation here, but you're having a rough moment like that, we're over halfway through this race. So I think at this point your mentality shifts to, okay, let's just get whatever points we possibly can. Let's try and scavenge what we can and make this a better day.
It has been all Christian Peterson up front here tonight at Homestead-Miami Speedway, looking for that 4th win on the season. He's had challenges, but he's been able to fight his way back up to the front consistently. And now is going to be the big question, was this the only caution needed to be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel? We ended up seeing, back in Phoenix, there were question marks. Could the 7 of Madalinas make it on fuel? He was able to do so. It came down to the wire. He said I think he had only about maybe a lap of fuel left when he crossed the start-finish line. Are we in that same type of a scenario right now where these drivers are looking for every little drop to be the difference between them being able to make it across the finish line under power, or maybe have to sputter across the start-finish line in the closing stages? If we get another yellow flag, it's going to be even more insurance, but right now you got to think that there's still a little bit of nerves and working the calculator, seeing if we're going to have enough fuel to get to the conclusion of this race. And with knowing that, you have to wonder if that's going to amp up the aggression just a little bit more here for this upcoming restart. Great launch there for Peterson.
And the next two are kind of battling for that second position. So I feel like that's exactly what you want to see if you're 71. You look in your rearview mirror and you see that your two nearest competitors are battling each other. Now they're going to get in the line, though.
Put it up back here. This is just outside of the top 10. Josh Robin in the 8. At 29 of Brent Malone on the inside. He's back on the lead lap. That caution got him the free pass, so now he can start trying to work his way back forward. He was up inside of the top 10 before he had his pit road miscue with Jared Darling, so trying to get back up into that vicinity. Cy Jackson, don't think we talked much about that 85, having a good run right now, unofficially in the 11th spot, and right behind him, Hunter Brittle in that number 10, going to shoot the middle, try and go up the center there of the 85, and I believe that was the 29.
How about the front? It looks like Jared Duda was able to get around Matthew Weeks for second. Look at this nearly 4-wide action here.
4 trucks, 4 different lanes. That's the beauty of the multi-groove racing at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. To your point, 53, well, he did have second. Matthew Weeks is not so fast as he'll get back alongside of Jared Duda, trying to break up those Manji Motorsports teammates. And if these two continue to battle side by side for second, it's not making one truck faster than the other, it's actually slowing them both down. That's going to bring Hunter Madalinas and Nathan Jump up into this conversation.
The problem when you're side by side, not only are you letting the race leader get away, but you're also allowing the cars behind you to gain ground. But Duda was able to, I was about to say, work his way around Weeks pretty nicely there, but Weeks was able to hold on to his momentum on the top. Almost got squeezed. Duda got loose there. Hold on to it, though.
Trying to go for the slide job and was not clear off of the corner. Almost contact between those two is now Weeks will have the momentum off the second corner, should get the run down the back straightaway, will complete the pass. Duda not going to go away quietly. Let's see if he tries the inside line again down here into 3 and 4. No, looks like he's going to just ride in line here. Maybe try and cool those tires down just a little bit here and then try and wind up the rubber band for another run for P2.
I think he's definitely reloading there, if you will. Kind of going to bide his time for now, stay in line, trying to get as much momentum as he can, and then as soon as he feels that a run's coming, he's going to take advantage of that.
Keeping an eye here with the field somewhat clumped up on that restart on the 23 of Spencer Owens. He's been able to work his way now up to 16th, so trying to salvage what he can after he was towards the rear of the field with that contact between himself and William Barbagelata. Jackson Sims, who we saw have that slide job go wrong against Jared Darling, he's been able to work his way back up to the 8th position, so great recovery for him. Darling is just about trying to crack the top 10 himself, as he's now going to try and slide job Gavin Fitzgerald for that 10th position. So good recoveries here. Greg Kincott in trouble back there, and he's going to go half around. He's going to go completely around here. Caution's going to come out. Looks like a solo truck spin with minimal contact, but it is going to bring out the yellow flag here just south of 20 laps to go.
And to answer your question from earlier, well, we got the yellow flag, so I think that's going to be the extra insurance. I think we're going to see trucks coming down pit road and making those last pit stops for as much fuel as they can get.
Or do they stay out and try to save? I mean, for some drivers, they've gone about 15 laps on their tires. For others, they've only gone 9. So it's, I guess, a question of just how important are the tires going to be. These drivers started on their original set and had 5 sets extra on pit road. So I almost wonder if maybe if you're some of the drivers up there inside of the top 6, 7, 8, you stay out. But I think anybody else from 9th on back, I think you come to pit road. If not for the fuel, take on the tires. See what they can do for you. Well, okay, never mind. I guess they're all coming in. If tires are free, we're taking them. Well,
might be,
hold on.
Oh, some varying strategies. Well, my thought.
Jared Darling, Spencer Owens, I believe that's Nicholas Caressel, and Eric Kempf going to be the quartet that elect to stay out for track position.
And everyone inside that top 4 that have stayed out they've only had 10 laps on those tires. So everybody else has been out for, or at least these top 3, they've all had 16 laps on these tires. So not that much of a difference.
And Hunter Brittle, I believe he might have gone with only right side tires. So another driver with alternative strategy, as he'll get out ahead of Christian Peterson, Matthew Weeks, and Jared Duda. In the case of Christian Peterson, provided the top 4 stay out here and will be the first 2 rows for this restart, this is going to be the furthest back that Christian Peterson has run all night long, as he's going to restart in P6.
He'll have the fresher tires. I'm not so sure that he's worried about that, but I think, it could probably creep up into his mind a little bit that this is the first time in a while that he hasn't had a completely clear windshield, so I'd be curious to see how he tries to navigate around this traffic that's in front of him.
Jared Darling, Spencer Owens, playoff contenders. Nicholas Caressel and Eric Kempf are not playoff drivers, so a little split there from drivers that are competing for a championship to drivers that are looking for their first wins on the season. And then Hunter Brittle, another non-playoff driver, going with the 2-tire strategy. So it's going to definitely shuffle the field up here for this upcoming restart. Looks like lights are out on the pace truck, so we will be going back green with 23 3 laps to go. Fuel no longer going to be a concern. Now all the emphasis is going to be on just how much good is in those Goodyears.
These drivers already warming up those tires, getting themselves ready for this could be last restart.
He had no need for a free pass truck. All drivers were on the lead lap at the time that yellow flew. 24 in total of our original 27. Getting ready to take the green flag here for the restart. Closing in on 20 laps to go here in the first playoff race of Season 11 of the Great Lakes Racing Truck Series. Jared Darling, control truck on the inside line. Great launch for him through the restart zone. He'll be clear of Owens. Owens is now going to tuck in line into second. He might actually have thoughts of going for the lead if he can get to the left rear. And now here's where the fresh tires are going to have to try and be patiently aggressive, if you will. They want to get by these older tires, but they can't put themselves in a bad situation doing so.
No, they can't. And you see the 53, Jared Duda, already trying to force his way around the 71. But Peterson's not going to let him by. And look at the run he's going to get off of this corner.
Nearly 4 wide back there with the 2 tires of Hunter Brittle. Oh, we got some trucks in the wall there, both Kep and Brittle. As I think Jared Duda put a block on the 63. Now you've got Nicholas Caressel under fire from Christian Peterson. That's for 3rd place, as Gavin Fitzgerald might have had a moment up there in 1 and 2. Caution is out.
Caution's out.
Robin Durr, I believe. No, it's William Barbagelata. Second time the 27's been involved in an incident here tonight. Saw him have to, yeah, we saw him have to start with that penalty at the beginning of the race. And things haven't gotten much better for him.
No, they have not. Looks like it was just a solo truck spin based on what we saw, but we'll verify that on the replay right now.
So here's a look what happened with Gavin Fitzgerald. Oh, he's going to get some assistance from Shane Neiswanger. Good save, as he then has Brett Malone into his left rear quarter panel as well. Ooh, and then that was Robin Durr. That was into the right rear quarter panel of the 27. I don't know if maybe this was in relation to what was going on ahead there with the 14, or if it was something completely unrelated, as they all start stacking up. There's contact there with Rod Fast now. Oh, and that's what sends the 27 around. Then as he's overcorrecting it back up the racetrack is when he makes the further contact with the 98 of Robin Durr. So it's just a massive stack up there on that outside line that goes from Fitzgerald to Malone to Robin to Barbagelata. Was there any contact with the 98?
Tough to tell. I mean, maybe there was. Not 100% certain.
It was super, super close. This is on board with Robin Durr. Let's watch this. Oh my gosh!
Oh, wow!
I don't know. Maybe you could fit a sheet of paper in between the front bumper and that spinning 27. Maybe you couldn't, but that's about as close as it gets. So far, so good with that caution for Jared Darling and Spencer Owens. They were able to stay ahead of the fresh tires of Christian Peterson. But now they're going to have him on their back door for this upcoming restart. Nicholas Caressel going to restart in 4th place with Jared Duda in 5th. Looks like 3 of the drivers that went with the strategy of staying out under the previous caution have been able to at least keep their track position for the time being, but they're going to be fed to the wolves who have those fresh Goodyears in their rearview mirror here, and it's going to be a little south of 20 to go here as well, so it's going to be nuts. We've seen them 3 wide, 4 wide here on these restarts. They're going to use every paved area of this racetrack, I feel like. If it's clear, They're going to try and stick their nose in there here as we get closer towards the end of this race.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see somebody like Peterson maybe try and take it 3 wide on this restart, just try to get around these trucks as quickly as he possibly can.
But now comes the question of big picture racing, right? Because obviously, if you're Peterson, you've had the strongest truck of the day. Matthew Weeks has been good on the long run. Jared Duda's been up here in the conversation. Madalinas has worked his way forward. And obviously, if you're Kincott and Owens, you know you're at a tire disadvantage, but you've got track position on your side. How aggressive are you willing to be to potentially give up a top 5, top 10 run, end up spinning yourself out in the closing stages, and finish outside of the top 15?
Well, it's a finish first. First you must finish.
Another great launch there for Jared Darling. He'll leave Nicholas Caressel to box in Christian Peterson there off of turn 2.
They could not quite do it, but Darling got a heck of a restart. Look at him go.
And Caressel's still able to stay in front of the 71 as well, yeah. I'm very impressed with that. That's about 9 laps difference on tires between the 40 and the 71. I mean, maybe that's the difference of clean air.
Maybe so. There was nearly contact between Peterson and Owens, but they were just barely able to stay out of it. And now, I think Darling's in trouble.
Going all the way up there to the wall, trying to combat those fresh tires with that good run off of 2 down the back straightaway. I don't think that Peterson's going to go up to that outside line. I think he's going to be pretty committed to the bottom. Jared Darling realizing that, going to try and run the same identical line there through 3 and 4. Put dirty air on the nose of the 71, but look at the difference in grip off the corner. Here comes Peterson.
Side-by-side racing. Peterson's going to go for the lead, but the 40 is also working his way kind of into this.
Behind them, you got Jared Duda. Matthew Weeks now going side by side, actually 3 wide there with Hunter Madalinas and Spencer Owens. Owens backs out of that. Look at this back here. Oh my goodness, this is just outside of the top 10. Sims, Fitzgerald. Got Eric Kempf in this conversation. Matthew Durr. In that bright orange number 18. Saw him make his way into the playoffs last week at Auto Club. Cy Jackson there, Shane Nicewanger. Josh Robin's up there on that outside line. And this is for battling just outside of the top 10. Talk about every position, every point matters. That counts for the non-playoff drivers as well as the playoff drivers back here.
It does. When we talk about those non-playoff drivers maybe wanting to try to finish as high as they possibly can in the standings. So every single position matters for every single driver.
Barbagelata, who's been a couple of incidents, saw him slap the wall there off of turn 2. Struggles continue for him as Fitzgerald looks ahead at more 3 and maybe 4 wide here. Spencer Owens is trapped in the middle now. Ooh, look out. Ashton Lawson made the move around the top side. Henderson looks to the bottom. Nathan Jump in this conversation as well. Jared Duda has now gotten to the inside of Jared Darling, looking for the second spot, which will put Manji Motorsports 1-2. Hunter Madalinas has now completed the pass around Darling as well, trying to move into third.
Peterson obviously has the clear advantage that he was able to get around Darling well before anybody else, so now it's just a matter of can these cars in second, third, fourth, or these trucks, are they going to be able to run down Peterson 71, or is it too little too late?
I feel like it's going to be a big task, whether it's Weeks or Madalinas, who ends up being in control of third place, to get around Jared Duda. You got to think that Duda's going to be playing all the defense he can for his teammate Christian Peterson, make it difficult to get around him, buy his teammate time as we are closing in on 10 laps to go for Peterson to be able to close out the playoffs with his first victory in this first playoff race.
I think that's what might make it a little bit frustrating for third and fourth, knowing that Peterson has a teammate right behind him. So he's going to probably try to play as much defense as he possibly can. And that's like, it's already hard enough to try to catch one truck. Now you got to try to catch two, technically. So makes things even harder.
Peterson came into this race with those 10 bonus points, winning the regular season championship. If he can win here tonight, he's going to have quite the cushion going into a tough track in 2 weeks' time at Darlington, off the heels of the Labor Day off week. Right now, he's waiting to cross out of turn 4, look up in the flag stand and see the white flag. That's the next goal for driver 71 as the battle continues for third place. Matthew Weeks trying to go where Madalinas isn't. He's just not quite able to get the run down the straightaway that he wants. Madalinas has got the track position as this battle continues for the final spot on the podium. Oh, we are almost 4 wide further back there with Henderson, Darling, and Sims. I believe that Sims and Darling were nearly making contact, and there they go!
Oh,
Sims around
boy.
into Nathan Jump. They're going to collect up the 26 of Ashton Lawson. Caution's going to wave, and we're going to be in the closing stages of this one. We should get an in-regulation restart, but there are only going to be a handful of laps left to go.
And the implications that'll cause as well, because there are multiple playoff drivers involved in that crash.
Sims and Lawson. Lawson had driven a clean race all night, was up in the top 10 pretty much the entire race. Sims was involved in an incident about midway through the race, but was actually doing a great job of combating that, and looks like maybe Gavin Fitzgerald got a little loose there off the corner down into Nathan Jump. And then Ashton Lawson, Jackson Sims nowhere to be able to go. He's on board with the 14. It almost looks like there he didn't realize he was 3 wide. He was following in the tire tracks of the one in front of him. Didn't really see any evasive move to the left like he was out of shape. See if we can get another camera shot here, because I almost wonder if Gavin didn't well, the onboard doesn't look like there's an evasive move to the left, but then from that shot, it looks like it did drift left into Nathan Jump.
That's all it was just a little bit of a drift, and that's all it took. Again, like you said, it wasn't that apparent from the onboard, so.
Here's a look again. Yeah, I mean, maybe from that angle, 14 comes down a little, 11 comes up a little, but then the 6 of Jackson Sims, the 26 of Ashton Lawson, innocent bystanders pay the price, and playoff contenders as well. Look at this, there's just nowhere to go if you're Ashton Lawson, as both the 6 and the 11 come right up into your path. You can't go any further right than the outside safer barrier.
And you can't go any further left because there's more trucks in the way.
So a tough break on 2 counts for Jackson Sims and Ashton Lawson, not only caught up in the wreck, but caught up in a wreck that was at less than 10 to go. So now all that track position that you've lost on top of whatever damage you sustained, it is a tall task, almost maybe an impossible task, to be able to gain that track position back now with the time that is allotted left to you, as we're going to be getting this restart with 5 laps to go. Sims is going to be back in 23rd. Ashton Lawson looks like he's going to restart in 8th. Did he not? Wow, the 26 did not come to pit road. He's going to restart 8th place. Everybody else, 9th on back, came to pit lane for tires. Madalinas, Weeks, Darling, Caressel. There's about 18 laps difference between the tires of those up in the top 8 to the tires of those just inside to outside of the top 10. Question is 5 laps enough time?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Keep an eye on that 7 of Madalinas and the 56 of Matthew Weeks sharing the 5th row. They're going to be the ones that are going to be the aggressive ones here to hope that those fresh tires get them to the front. 5 laps remaining here tonight, and there you see Madalinas immediately on the charge as he'll take it 3 wide into 1.
Just like that, forcing his way to the inside of the racetrack as soon as he possibly could. Now it's a question of can he work his way past these trucks.
Caution's again.
Right back out, though.
Spencer Owens, I believe, has had a problem over in 1 and 2.
There's a big piece of debris.
Man, you look at the first half of this race and all the playoff running well, running clean. You get to the second half of this race, and it seems like our last 3 incidents now have involved at least one playoff contender. You see him loose on the inside of Nicholas Caressel, comes down into the 29 of Brent Malone. Maybe a little contact as well there for Robin Durr.
Might have been just a little bit of panic in the fact that they were 4 wide, and after that little bit of contact, nobody could really save it.
Oh, that's on board with Nathan Jump, who might have made a little contact there, but it could have been a lot worse. The seas barely parted for him to be able to get through.
He bumped into the back of that truck that was in front of him. We saw the bumper kind of fall off there. That might have been that big piece of debris.
Is on board with the 29 of Brent Malone.
Oof.
Oh, big shot up into the outside wall for him. And I'm not certain if we're going to be able to get back green here in regulation or not. And there is your answer.
It says overtime, so there you go.
We're going to overtime. So Hunter Madalinas had been able to work his way up to 7th. He kind of got boxed in off of turn 2. I almost wonder, I'd love to be a fly down in the wall of the pit box of the 7 team. Did they want that thing to go green all the way to the end? Did they want those 5 green flag laps? Because now, that would have been him having to pick up 8 positions in the span of 5 laps. Now, he's going to have to pick up 6 positions in 2 laps.
I think they would have wanted it to go green to the end, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. He is.
They had the momentum. They were chugging along on the bottom of the racetrack. I feel like that they would have had more time if they would have kept going. I think 5 laps probably would have just been enough time to at least try to contend for a top 3 spot. But now having to gain all those positions back in 2 laps, I mean, it's a really tall order.
The one thing to his benefit is he's going to restart on the inside line again. We saw him able to jump 3 wide on that last restart. He can try and do that again. Question is just how much ground will he be able to make up with those fresh tires through 1 and 2? As there's going to be 7 other trucks up ahead of him here for this overtime restart. Christian Peterson going to be the control truck again. How about Hunter Brittle? Great run for him here tonight. I know he's up here based off of an alternative tire strategy, but he's had a top 10, top 15 truck all night long. And right now looking to finish it out inside of the top 5. Jared Duda, he's been a top 5 truck all evening, going to restart in 3rd. 3-time winner at this racetrack, Elliot Henderson, up here late in that 4th position. 2nd truck on the outside line. Keep an eye on him. He's been to victory lane before. He knows how to get there. And Gavin Fitzgerald right now going to complete the top 5 with Matthew Durr right now in that 6th position. Bad wheel spin, it looked like, for Hunter Brittle, and that's going to stack everybody up.
Had a little bit of a bump between the top 2 as well on that restart, but Peterson able to work his way by it.
Matthew Weeks was going up top 4 wide. Contact! Fitzgerald around. Jared Darling. This is going to be a massive wreck on the back straightaway. Brent Kink got Cy Jackson. Hard to the inside wall there as well. Multi-truck incident. Ooh, look out. That's Eric Kempf in the 63. He was involved in this wreck. Jackson
felt like a
Sims
pretty
might have
jumpy
also gotten a
restart.
piece.
Felt like everybody was a little bit on edge.
It all got wadded up after Hunter Brittle looked like might have spun the tires from the outside of the front row. We'll figure out. I believe the initial contact's going to be between the 1 and the 14. Yep. Nowhere for these guys to go. Caressel was in it. Eric Kempf. Robin Durr got a piece of it. Fitzgerald was the truck in the middle. He had Jared Darling to his inside. Had a truck to his outside as well. This is on board with Nathan Jump.
Oh, man, Jump. Almost. Oh, yeah, it looks like he basically did completely avoid him. He might have had one bump or two.
Thought Jackson Sims was involved, but I think he also was able to carve his way through the wreck. He was that purple truck we saw with that rear onboard of Nathan Jump. This is on board with Sims, as a matter of fact. Gets through it, and that's a lot of valuable positions that he picked up right there, did Jackson Sims. Could be important towards his fight for the championship, one of those playoff contenders. Now we rack him up, and we're going to do it again.
Jared Darling, I was going to say, I think it was probably the toughest break for him. I felt like he had a really competitive truck at times during this race, so that's obviously unfortunate thing to happen near the end of this race.
Well, another overtime restart. If it was just the one overtime restart, I would say advantage Christian Peterson. But now take a look at where the fresh tires are lined up. Manalina's going to be second truck on the outside line. We've seen him be able to use the inside line to his advantage. He's picked up 2 or 3 spots every time through 1 and 2. But now if he can get a good enough launch, jump right up there to that cushion right against the safer barrier like we've seen a number of other drivers do, there's a lot of lanes available up there to try and see if he can swing around and maybe snipe this victory away from Christian Peterson.
The shoe is on the other foot. And we saw in an earlier restart, he was the truck, Christian Peterson was the truck that was chasing down other trucks that were right in front of him for the race lead. Now, though, the top two, 27 lap old tires.
Like Nicholas Caressel may be done for the night. Almost made it to the conclusion. Brett Malone also turned his truck into the garage area a few laps ago. We're going to have 22 trucks left to do this. Actually, correction, Caressel's returned to the track, so 22 drivers remain. Here we go. Another great launch there for Peterson and Madalinas. He wants to go. Look at him shoving Hunter Brittle there into 1 and 2. Have a massive run down the back straightaway.
Look at the block. Jared Duda again going to try to play defense for his teammate. Can't stop him from taking second.
Look at that run through the center. Madalinas has got Peterson right where he wants him. Can they get to the white? Brittle got loose, but they're going to get there. White flag in the air, 1 to go. Peterson trying to hold off last season's defending champion.
What are you willing to do for a playoff win? Let's find out.
Less than a truck length down the back straightaway. Peterson moves low to block. Madalinas, what do you do here?
Look at the run.
Look to the bottom. Peterson slams the door. Ooh, he's drifting up the track, though. He's riding up the track. Madalinas is going to get there. They're going to contact.
Oh, my God. Contact.
Coming to the line. Madalinas by half a truck length is going to get him. Had to
Oh
shoulder him up
my.
the banking off of 4, but the fresh tires will prevail. Hunter Madalinas is going to go back to victory lane for the third time this season. He will win the playoff opener here tonight at Homestead-Miami Speedway.
That was awesome.
Peterson gave it a heck of a try. You just could see the truck drifting up there through 3 and 4. He tried the side draft, he tried the door bang, everything he could do to stall out the momentum of Hunter Madalinas, just could not do it. And Hunter Madalinas, I said this last week, look out for this guy because he started getting hot at the right time at the close of the regular season, and now the defending champion wants his crown back as he will set a blistering positive tone here, winning the first race of the postseason.
Margin of finish 0.043. That's how close it was at the line.
Wow.
I can't believe that. That was so awesome.
This will now tie Hunter Madalinas with Christian Peterson for second most victories this season, second only to Daniel Nanny. I love the hands that you can see there as they were wheeling these trucks off of 4. They gathered it up after the contact, and this is what it translates to, that 43 thousandths you were talking about, maybe a little more than half a truck length, as it was a drag race to the line, and Madalena is going to take it right there.
I asked the question when they were on the backstretch, what are you willing to do for a playoff win? And we found out what the answer was from Madalena. He was able to get a little bit aggressive. And I mentioned, too, the 53 of Jared Duda was sort of in position to play defense for his teammate, but he could not hold off the 7 truck. He was just way too fast on those fresher tires, and it paid off at the end. I'm in shock. That was so fun to watch.
And you saw it there as well after the checkered flagged wave, the battle between Peterson and Madalinas coming to the stripe. That's going to carry over into Darlington in 2 weeks. There's only 7 points separate those two now for the points lead in the playoffs. I believe we are now going to be able to get the inner thoughts of what went down from the driver's perspectives. Let's see if we can kick things off with tonight's race winner, Hunter Madalinas. Hey Hunter, it's the guys up here in the split-second broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Seth.
Wow, what a finish here tonight. We were hyping up fuel the first half of this race, but then it definitely looked like tires were the optimal thing here second half of this race. You got some overtime restarts there. A couple of the restarts you kind of got boxed in, but were able to find that top side to get around all but the 71 with the white flag waving. Talk to me about that final run there through 3 and 4. Obviously, it worked out in your favor, but was there any point where you thought, oh man, if I could go back and do it again, I might have done something different on that entrance to 3?
Definitely thought about that. Yeah, he played some big mind games on me in 1 and 2. He was being indecisive of what lane he was picking, and that caused me to be indecisive of what lane I was picking. So I didn't gain any time through 1 and 2 on him. But yeah, 3 and 4, I drove it to the bottom. I turned it way too early in, and I got onto the apron, and I even said to my guys in Spectrum, I was like, I just gave the race away. I'm not winning it. I'm guessing from how deep I drove it in, he also drove it extremely in. And yeah, I saw him washing up, and then I was all the way back to the power. I saw, the momentum I had, that I was going to have a chance at him. Had to get him into his door a little bit, because it was going to be so close if I didn't, and just was luckily able to etch him out.
How difficult was it? Because we talk about Homestead-Miami being a multi-groove racetrack, but it kind of seemed like at certain points when they're double and 3 wide ahead, there's not a whole lot of options on a lane to be able to go with those fresh tires. So how difficult was it specifically on those overtime restarts to be what I kind of call patiently aggressive to pick the moments of when to make the moves, knowing that you've got the grip to be able to make them?
Yeah, the tires really helped on restarts. I was able to constantly keep getting really good restarts and, jumping 3 wide. I think I did that maybe 2 or 3 times, jumping 3 wide on the bottom to, get guys immediately on the restart. And then, yeah, final restart too. Got a really good restart. Ran the top wall. I don't know how I didn't turn myself off of brittle. I went through a window that was probably, if it was a hair less, I was getting turned on the back straightaway there. But yeah, it was just really good through 3 and 4. 1 and 2, it didn't gain you all too much time. It gained me some on the half corner, on the restart. But after that, it's kind of even no matter what tires you have in 1 and 2. But 3 and 4 was the big killer.
Your third trip to victory lane this season. We've seen you have a tremendous final stretch here in the regular season with 4 straight top 10s, 3 of those finishes inside of the top 5, and that incredible fuel strategy victory you had back in the desert at Phoenix. To kick off the playoffs with this victory, the momentum you had coming into the playoffs and also coming in as the defending champion, how important was it for you here tonight in terms of continuing that momentum on to park this 7 in victory lane?
Yeah, momentum is a huge thing, but I know Peterson and Weeks both have themselves, and they were extremely fast today. Yeah, we did the same thing we did to start the playoffs last year. Winning the season opener, or winning the playoff opener. We just have 10 less points than we did last year. But, yeah, it's going to be difficult. But luckily for me, these first couple tracks that we have in the playoffs are all tracks that I feel like I have a good grip on, all tracks that I've won at before as well. So, it's always a good thing when, repeating track is in the playoffs that you've won at. And starting the playoffs off with a win, is a really big boost going into the rest of them.
Well, Hunter, congratulations on an incredible finish here tonight. Playing that alternative strategy, those fresh tires get you your 3rd win on the season. You're going to be, looks like 7 points, ironically, behind Christian Peterson going into Darlington in 2 weeks' time. We wish you luck as you look to continue what's been an incredible streak of finishes here going back to the latter portions of the regular season. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for Victory Lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Yeah, shout out to a lot of my teammates there. They helped me a lot, getting up through the field, not making it too difficult on me. Shout out to Peterson. He was actually pretty cool and understanding with that move. It was not the move I wanted to pull, but was the move I had to pull. And then just thanks to you guys putting on the broadcast, and love going back and watching them.
Analyst, 3rd time he goes to victory lane here this season. He gets the playoffs kicked off with a checkered flag here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Congratulations on the great run. Enjoy the off week, and we'll see you back at it at the track Too Tough to Tame.
Thanks, Seth.
See if we can now get a hold of our 2nd place finisher here tonight. Coming out on the losing side of the photo finish, but had maybe the strongest truck of the night. Let's get a hold of 3-time winner Christian Peterson. Hey, Christian, it's the guys up here in the split-second broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. You got me?
Yes, I do. Man, I'll tell you what, strong truck here tonight. Caught out maybe a little bit on strategy in the closing stages, but man, it looked like you did everything you possibly could do to keep the 7 in the rearview mirror. Talk to me about that, because I'm sure that there was some team communication between you and the 53. The 2 of you had worked out a good system all race to be able to play defense for each other. What little more could you have done to be able to keep the 7 at bay?
Yeah, I definitely think I just kind of gave it away there in 3 and 4. I hit the brakes, and I don't think I probably shouldn't have. I honestly probably should have just bounced it off the wall and gone with that, because I mean, he didn't race me dirty or nothing, so congrats to Hunter there. He did a hell of a job. He got lucky there with tires and at the end, and got enough green white checkers to make it work. But I mean, we were definitely the fastest truck all day. Duda was definitely doing some work for us back behind me, and you know, like I said, I just think I gave it away. I gave it away there. I should have just dove low and blocked all of his air instead of like half of it, and then if the situation was where it was at, I should have just bounced it off the wall. But I decided not to, or I hit the brakes trying to hold him down, and it didn't work out. So congrats to him, and it was a hell of a race to the finish line.
As I said, you had a really strong truck here tonight, but spent a good portion of it out in clean air. We did see there was a portion of time, though, where you were back in the latter half of the top 10. You did have the tire advantage, and you had to work your way forward. How difficult or easy was it to maneuver around this racetrack? We know this racetrack is multi-groove, but you guys were also dealing with the daytime conditions, a little bit slicker racetrack. So did that make it a little bit more difficult to cut your way through traffic, work your way back up to the front?
I don't think so. I mean, when I was back there in 6th or so, I think I had a small tire advantage on those guys, like 10 laps or 8 laps or so. So that kind of helped. But I mean, honestly, when I pit there early, I was hoping it was going to go green because I was just going to break it up into 4 and try to go long or do another pit stop and see how that worked. Weeks had me there at the beginning of the race, and I wanted to try something, and then we got lucky with a yellow and didn't go a lap down. Like I was like another second and a half away from going a lap down there on lap 31 or whatever it was, and I got my lap back and then was able to get back up front with the lap old tires, and then I mean, yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think we were the class of the field. It's just the green white checkers didn't play in our favor.
You had that win last week in the regular season finale at Auto Club. It locked you up the regular season championship. You carried 10 valuable bonus points here into the postseason. How much are you going to be leaning into those bonus points here, or do you kind of not even worry about those and kind of go out there as if you maybe all started at even in terms of trying to find that consistency here in now what are going to be the final 7 remaining races of this postseason?
Yeah, I mean, 10 bonus points are definitely, I mean, it's, take any advantage you can get. When it's head to head like this, and you got guys like Weeks and Madalenas that are trying to get wins and trying to win the championship. I mean, it's not going to be easy. So, you just got to take all the advantage you can get. I'll take those 10 points and move on to the next one.
Well, Christian, congratulations on the great run here tonight. Up front all night long, bring it home solidly on the podium in second place here tonight and carry the points lead into Darlington in a couple of weeks' time. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Yeah, just got to thank everybody at Manji Motorsports, Skyline, Chassis. Yeah, just all those guys. John, Lide was spot me tonight. Duda, Brett, Manji was on the box for Duda tonight after his misfortune last week. So just it's a total team effort. You know what I mean? We're all trying to help each other out and beat all these other teams and all these other guys. And it may seem malicious at times, but I think it's just all in pure fun and competition and being competitive, and everybody wants to win. All these guys. Another thing with this league is the team championship too, right? Like, we got guys racing for team championships that aren't necessarily in the playoffs, but they can make an impact on that. So watch out for that, and not necessarily just the drivers championship is important, but the team championship and all that is important too. So just thank you guys too for putting on the show. GLR, everybody at GLR who does all the work putting on these races. So thank you guys.
Christian Peterson, second place here tonight. Great way to start off the playoffs, and he'll look to get that one position better in a couple of weeks' time off of the Labor Day off week when we head to Darlington Raceway. Congrats on the great run tonight, and best of luck in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Seth.
And let's see if we can get a hold of the driver that brings it home. Final driver on the podium, Matthew Weeks. And Matthew, is the guys up here in the split-second broadcasting booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, man, I don't know if you have a space there in that truck to be able to house a bucket of popcorn, because you probably needed one. You had the best seat in the house of what was going on out the windshield. We saw the contact between the two. Was there any thought in the back of your mind of, these guys might wreck each other and I might be able to go by and pick up a victory to kick off these playoffs?
I thought so coming out of 4 when they touched. I thought they were going to wreck down the track, but knowing that, it was just a slight touch. I was hoping it would happen, but knowing those two, it wasn't going to. But still a disappointment, though. I felt like I had the truck that could have won the race tonight.
Yeah, we definitely saw some great speed out of this 56. He started this race from the pole position, top 5 all night long. Was maybe just being a little too far back there on the new tire strategy maybe a part of the factor of not being able to close this one out here? Because it kind of seemed like you and the 7 on equal footing. Maybe he was able to not get boxed in quite as much on those green-white checkers.
Yeah, I was just pinned. The first 2 restarts, I was pinned on the outside up there, and he was on the bottom, so he could just dive it, to the bottom, go 3, and just make moves. And I was stuck there. Then finally, I got to the bottom on the last restart and was able to really jump some spots. So yeah, it was just bad restart. Bad placement in my restarts. Pretty much where I was at. Always on the outside, and it's so hard in the truck to really roll the momentum in 3 and 4 when you're just getting going. So I was just stuck.
I can't help but think, knowing where we're going to in a couple of weeks' time. We saw you back at the old surface of Atlanta. We saw you at the legacy version of Texas. We saw you here tonight with the slippery, somewhat worn out surface of Homestead-Miami. You seem to be one of the best at saving tires and being good on the long run. We're going to a racetrack that eats tires for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Darlington Raceway in 2 weeks' time. How much do you think a track like that's going to play into your strengths, especially here with some good momentum kicking off the playoffs with a podium finish tonight?
Well, it's my favorite track and it's my best track. So I'm excited. I didn't know it was Darlington. I'm hyped. I'm getting ready right now for Southern 500 tomorrow night for like my main Cup Series league. So it's good timing to go to Darlington. I'm hyped. I'm excited. I'm sure we can probably put it in victory lane.
Looking forward to that. Matthew, congratulations on a great run here tonight. Podium finish to kick off the playoffs. Up there right in the conversation for the points lead going into, as you said, one of your favorite racetracks here off the heels of the off week next week. We wish you luck there. Congratulations on the great run this evening. Before we let you go, we'll turn it over to you for some thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Thank you guys up in the booth. You guys do a good job, and I love always going back, watching the races. I even watch past races. You guys do a great job and really explain, the race, how the racing's going, and everyone's stats, even past race stuff. So y'all do a good job. Everyone in the league, Dark Horse Motorsports, they brought me on this season, and it's good to represent. We've been running strong, so hoping to pull out that championship for them. It'll be a good thing for them. I appreciate those guys for letting me race for them. My buddy Justin Verdemerl at JV Designs, he paints all my schemes. Hit him up on Twitter. I mean, he'll paint you something really nice. My other buddy at John Cutlip at JD Designs, he'll paint you something really good too. And they're both on Twitter, so just hit him up. All the sponsors that are part of the league, everyone that watched, I can't wait to go back and watch. It was a pretty good battle, especially early on in that race when we had them long green flag runs. I've noticed some things where you can really get some trucks loose, so it was really fun.
Well, Matthew Weeks, he brings it home. 3rd place here tonight in the playoff opener at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Congratulations on the great run tonight. Enjoy the off week, and we'll see you back at it at the track Too Tough to Tame at Darlington in 2 weeks' time.
All right, man. Yeah, have a good one.
Matthew Weeks going to complete the podium here tonight. Playoff drivers sweep the podium here in this one. Jack, have you recovered from what we just saw go down here
I think
at
so.
Homestead-Miami?
I think I'm good. I think the heart rate has calmed down just a little bit.
Here's a look of the fallout of this one, as it'll be Madelinas, Peterson, Matthew Weeks, separated by 0.3 of a second. They're your podium finishers. Jared Duda will be the highest finisher of the non-playoff contenders in 4th. Jackson Sims, was that 2 comeback runs for him here tonight. He got in a wreck, worked his way back up into the top 10, got involved in another incident, works his way up into the top 5 to close out this race. 3-time winner at this racetrack, Elliot Henderson, finishes in 6th. Hunter Brittle, great run in 8th. Good recovery for Josh Robin after he started on the outside of the front row. Or actually, no, correction, he started towards the back. He'll finish in 8th. Spencer Owens, another driver that was able to recover for a top 10 in 9th. And Nathan Jump is going to complete the top 10 here tonight in this one. And then you go further back, Matt Durr. We saw him play the strategy there, able to bring it home 11th. That was a net gain for Matt Durr. He was around 15th, 16th for most of this one. Shane Neiswanger, who started deep in the field, gets it in 12th place. Jared Darling, he's the one that started on the outside of the front row, and he drifted back to finish in 13th. Eric Kempf and Robin Durr, the rest of the top 15. Then Brent Kincott, Gavin Fitzgerald, Rod Fastnow, James Shiflett, and Cy Jackson. They were your top 20 finishers. Big hit going to be in the direction of Ashton Lawson, who is involved in that late race yellow. He's going to finish outside of the top 20 in the 21st position. He will subsequently be going into the next race of the playoffs in 10th position of the 10 playoff drivers. And then Nicholas Carresso, Brett Malone, William Barbagelata, Aiden DuPont, Jeremy Pienta, and Nathan Nixon. They did not reach the conclusion of this race. You saw earlier, 7 points going to be the difference between Peterson and Madalinas going into Darlington in 2 weeks' time. Matthew Weeks right in the conversation still, 13 back. Jackson Sims and Elliot Henderson, 15 and 16 back respectively. But for Durr, Neiswanger, Darling, and Lawson, they're obviously not in trouble yet. But I feel like the next race in 2 weeks' time at Darlington, you're going to trying to get some of those points back that you lost here in this one.
Absolutely, and it can be a little bit difficult to do that. I mentioned near the end of this race, Darlington, it's a really, really difficult racetrack. So I think for Hunter, he's probably really happy that he was able to get this win here at Homestead. Obviously, it didn't take him into the points lead, but that cushioning, that's a bit of a buffer that he has going into this next race. It can make a huge difference considering the results that might end up happening when we get to when we get to Darlington.
2 weeks' time. Mark your calendars, folks. We will be off for Labor Day weekend next Tuesday night. We'll be back at it in 2 weeks' time at the Lady in Black, the track too tough to tame. You know when it's got a lot of nicknames, it's something special. Everybody wants to win at that racetrack. We thank you for joining us for our coverage here tonight as Hunter Madalinas becomes a 3-time winner in the season, taking the Miami Beach 180. We'll see you in 2 weeks for the continuation of the playoffs for the Great Lakes Racing Truck Series. For Jack Mitchell, our producer, Jeff Johnson, I'm Seth Cole. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Darlington.